Welcome to another deep dive edition of the Chicks on the Right podcast. We have ourselves a good friend with us today. It is Chad Benson, radio broadcaster extraordinaire, man of mystery. We are going to dig into your personal life a little bit because nobody knows who you are.
Nobody.
Like the real you.
Like, who are you, Chad? Who are you? What are your dreams?
This is one of them right here. A couple ladies at once. I'm living the dream right now. This is the weirdest OnlyFans I've ever been on. What are my dreams? I'm living my dream. I get to be with Radio America. I get to talk on the radio all day. It's like I always tell, everybody, guys I work with, like David Hall. This is the greatest job in the world. I don't have a hammer. I'm not on top of a roof. I'm not doing any of that. This is a regular. I get to BS with my friends all day.
I know, right? It is really a cool job. It's the coolest job in the whole world. Because we both worked in corporate America for way too long. And then we get to do this and we're like, how do we get to do this? It's like the greatest gig ever. It's so much fun. But you've been doing radio for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, I was a kid. I went to Europe, tried to play pro soccer, and I, banged around in the lower divisions. But I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. And this was the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. There was no Americans over there playing soccer. So I'm like, but I still want to wear shorts to work every day. So how do I do that? And radio, like back then, you didn't have to send your picture in like they do now. It's like, they don't care if you sound good on the radio. It's like,
right.
What's your profile like? What do you look like? Are you okay out there? Are you good on the gram and the TikTok?
Yeah. It's like social media is such a big deal now. So were you always right leaning? Have you always been sort of a political?
Oh yeah, because I'm not insane.
Right. You're a Gen Xer. And we were most Gen Xers were kind of, I consider
we're libertarians.
Right. That's
like I call myself
conservatarian.
I'm a conservatarian.
Conservatarian. Yeah, we were, weren't we? Yeah. And then some of the people I remember in high school who were conservatarian, some of them have turned kind of liberal, like they've gone a little woke because I see them like on social media stuff. I'm like, who are you? Because you used to be kind of normal.
Yeah.
And now you're not
and you know
normal.
What's like, whose fault is it that these kids are a hot mess?
Yeah.
Would it be our generation?
I think.
Well, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't Gen X bear some responsibility? It's guilt. I think it's guilt on a lot of the part of like, especially like white suburban moms. They just get dragged into being made to feel guilty. And then they buy into all the woke shit. I don't get it. I don't get how they fall into it so easily.
Freaking white people suck. And we all know that. And it's been pretty much proven by the 1619 or 1916 project. White people suck.
Yeah,
so, but
it's true.
I look around like I'm not woke. My kids aren't really woke. I got young kids. I got a 4-year-old because I'm like, hey, it's a good time to start a family when I'm 48. And but I've also got a 12-year-old. But they're not woke. But man, I tell you what, there's some woke kids out there. There's some like at this age, it's like I can't have kids because it's the climate. You're like, what?
But your kids, saying that your kids aren't woke, my kids aren't woke. I have millennial kids, and then I have a Gen Zer, and then Mock has she's got I guess Jackson would be considered a Gen Z. Is he a Gen Zer? He's 17. So like I mean, our kids aren't woke, right? So collectively, we have a bunch of kids that aren't woke. So I feel like they're gonna get older. They're gonna eventually run things. And so, I don't know. I feel like there's hope for the country. Like, I look at my kids and I look at her friends and they're not the weirdos. And so I'm like, these kids are going to be running crap one day. So
my son, his mom she's pretty liberal. She's pretty liberal. She worked in the nonprofit area. She's a really good person. She worked in the nonprofit area and she kind of, some of that wokeness slowly went away because she worked in the nonprofit world. But he's a little bit more liberal than my daughter's 4.5, and she's the exact opposite of that. She's like, I get worried because like we watched the movie the other night, Megan, with the little doll that's kind of the little girl that gets the doll, and I'm like, she's like, Dad, I want one. I'm like, you can't have one because you sick it on people. Like she's the exact opposite. She's going to be the uber conservative one, and then my 12-year-old stepdaughter is very conservative. Like she's always
Interesting.
talking. Hey, let me tell you about how much I hate communism. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
crazy.
fantastic. And,
Yeah.
and I think there's going to be a pendulum swing, right? I mean, I just put something on our website today about a guy who wrote about that, how there's been such a huge swing to the left over the past, decade, maybe 15 years, how it's just gotten so freaking ridiculous. People are just stupid. Like we've gone full on stupid in this country. And so I think this generation now is like, that's dumb. And I also want to laugh. Like this generation wants to have fun. They want to laugh. Do you remember when we used to have movies like Blazing Saddles and when Saturday Night Live was fun and like stuff was funny? We could laugh with one another and we could have conversations with liberals and it was actually civil. And you can't do that anymore. And I think this generation sort of is starting to understand that and they want to have freaking fun again, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny because this millennial generation, they're not moving, when you're younger, right? What is it? If you're not a liberal, you don't have a heart. And if you're, and you're not in your 30s or 40s and you're not conservative, you don't have a brain, they're not moving to the right. So I think the younger generation, the Gen Z and this, whatever they're calling the latest generation, they're going to be a little bit more grounded in reality. Because this other generation, this millennial generation, I feel sad because I'm reading an article today that they don't even want to get their driver's licenses.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
You guys
that's
see
true.
That's
How
oh,
insane
yeah.
is that?
Oh my God.
They're like,
it's
I'll
totally
call
insane.
Uber or 911. I'm like, I don't think that's how 911 works.
Right. Right. It's not how it works at all.
Oh
And remember how you
gosh.
couldn't wait to get your driver's license? Remember how you were like, I got to get the heck. I mean, I love my parents, but I got to get the hell out of here. I got to go do my
Yeah.
thing. I got to be independent. I couldn't wait to get
But
my
now
license.
everybody's connected, so they don't have to drive to each other's houses to talk. They can just, they're
Right
like,
here.
got their phones and they're
Right here.
connected by their devices, and that's enough for them, which is sad.
It is.
I tell my
sad.
kids that's not real. None of that's real. Whatever happens online, unfortunately, some stuff that you do online will have real world consequences. But the vast majority of it is like people are being mean to me on the internet. Click. Oh, guess what?
Right.
You don't know that because they're not in the house, right?
Right.
And that's the thing that I try to convey to them, especially about because I'm like, look, like when should they get a phone? I'm like, let them get a phone young enough. Teach them the responsibility. It's like a gun. Let them get a phone. Teach them all the responsible things to do, and then go from there.
I agree
Talk
with
to your
that.
kids.
I agree with that. What do you think about social media and kids? Or do you allow your kids to be on social media? Because so many people, especially conservatives, are really torn on that. Like, should I let my kids be on the TikTok and the Instagrams and all that kind of crap, or should I not? Because it's evil and they're predators and oh my God, it's crazy.
I let them. My kids are on social media. Like they follow. Like my little one, she calls it funny videos. She goes on the shorts and stuff on. She's
Right.
4.5 and she flips through. She thinks it's hilarious. But I want to turn her into a star, so I don't have to work anymore. That's kind of our goal. I have goals mostly for other people.
That
to
is
do
the way of
where
the
I
world
benefit.
now.
That's a good
Yeah.
5-year plan.
I want them to understand what social media is because I don't want to put them behind the 8 ball in a world where we're only going to get more technologically driven, right? It's like I want my kids. I'm like, look, guys, you guys can go to school and learn about English and history, or you guys can stay home all day and learn how to code. So I think that's the best thing to do is learn how to code. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm joking around, but the reality is, are we going to be more technologically advanced or less? Probably
Right.
more, unless the aliens are real and they attack us and we're screwed and we're back to chasing our own dinner.
Do
Yeah.
you think it's aliens?
I'm
She
hoping.
thinks
Now, here's
it's
a question for you guys, right?
Mhm.
Would you rather it be aliens who maybe came from a different dimension or somewhere far, far away, or would you, and there's a 50-50 chance they may or may not eat us, or would you rather it be our adversaries, Russia or China, who have technology that is so much more advanced than we thought? And I'm not talking about the balloon, but some of the other stuff they talked about the other day when the pilots are all, hey, this thing has no propulsion. We don't know how that happens. And it's been messing with all my stuff as I got closer to it. So which would you rather it be? Would you rather be China or Russia, or would you rather it be, we know they hate us. We're 50-50 on the aliens.
Right. I
But
would
there's
probably.
a chance.
I think.
Maybe they're nice aliens.
Well, Mock thinks it's aliens. I personally, I don't think it's aliens, but I'd rather it was aliens because I feel like we could probably deal with them or maybe reason with them better than we could reason with China or Russia.
They just
Although
need a
we
hug. It's just like aliens just
Oh my
are
God.
looking for affection.
She's that girl in Independence Day who stands
That's
on
me.
top of
You're
the
the one?
skyscraper.
That's
I am the
nice.
one.
She's that
Nice.
girl.
You're the
That's
person
her.
who wants to pet the bull,
Yes.
and then you find out it doesn't want to be your friend.
She is.
Totally
But
me.
I really like the bull.
She's gonna die by like bear mauling one day.
Yeah,
Just
because I
some
want
sort
to
of
pet bears,
inadvertent
which
bear
is not
mauling.
a good idea.
Yeah,
That's sounds a little sexual. I want to pet
that's
bears
gonna
too.
be it's gonna be her demise. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
Hey,
Chad.
were you big super? Did you get into the Super Bowl? Was that like a thing for you? Did you pay a lot
I
of attention?
did.
to it? Okay,
I did. I watched the Super Bowl.
What did
Who
you
was your
make
team?
of all of that?
My team wasn't in it because we're not very
No.
good. No, we were the Rams. We won last year, and they told us we can't win again.
Oh,
So,
that's a rule.
but
Okay.
I watched it. It was fun. We sat down and watched the whole thing and watched the halftime show. And,
what were your thoughts?
That she had a not so fresh feeling at one time.
She was grabbing. She was grabbing too much.
She was grabbing and
Grabbing
smelling.
and
She's like,
smelling.
yeah.
Well, she's pregnant, you know? I mean, it's like sometimes you got to do what you got to do when you're pregnant. There's stuff
So-
going on, you know?
It looked at first I was like, wow, that's a lot of what is it, hazmat suits, right?
Yeah.
Those
And
were
then
they were supposed to be sperm, I think.
is that what they?
But
See,
the-
that's what I
they
She
all
thought.
was
are
like
Weird.
the giant egg.
The
the
little
giant
sperm
vagina.
Yeah.
trying to get to the egg. All the sperm were
Right.
trying to get
Well,
to her.
well,
Flaunt
that's
it.
that was interesting.
Yeah.
Or it was
Yeah.
just like we got two suits. She's like, I can fit in the red one.
Everybody else is going to be in white.
You know what
Right.
though? The second time that she went up on the platform, that camera came in on her, and the wind, because I'm in Phoenix, the wind was whipping. You saw that platform shake. Her pupils went whoop.
She is a brave, brave soul. There's
Yeah, I
no
couldn't
way
do
in
that.
hell I would have gotten on that not
Mhm.
pregnant. But
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be pregnant, oh my God.
That's one of the things I am afraid of is heights. I don't like heights.
And there was
Well-
there was nothing holding her. There was no like she wasn't.
No, they had a
harnessed in
thing.
any
They
way.
harnessed her in the back.
They
So
did.
there was-
Really?
There was a harness in the
I was
back.
going to
yeah.
say that could have been
Yeah.
catastrophic. I
Now
that
she
could've
could
been
move
really bad.
around, but if it would have fallen, it would have been more like she would have bungeed,
Okay.
which would have been hilarious because her baby would have fell out right on the field.
that I was afraid the whole time I was
Yeah,
watching. I
I
was
was-
like, this is a terrible,
So what?
terrible.
What was
plan.
your favorite part? It's not Brianna, I'm assuming.
No, my favorite part. You know what? The game was great. I think the best part, is so you're watching two teams just battle it out and all of this stuff. But we remember from where it started at the beginning of the game. You got Sirianni, the coach of Philadelphia. He's crying because the anthem was so great.
It
but
was
all
great.
the way through the battle, you're watching the brothers hug afterwards.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good. And everybody's like, oh, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes didn't shake hands. Actually, they met in the tunnel afterwards. Jalen was so upset he left the field early, and they met afterwards. I think the game was amazing. The thing that sucked was the last 10 minutes was anticlimactic because you knew they were going to kick that field goal. There was really nothing you could do to watch them, to stop them.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
So go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead, Miriam. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to shift gears a little bit because Damar Hamlin, he had an interview in which
did.
he was asked about the cause of his cardiac arrest. And he was super, super cagey about it. In fact, there was a long pause after Michael Trahan asked it, or is it Strahan or Trahan?
Strahan.
Okay.
Strahan.
After he asked him, did doctors give you any idea and any indication about the cause of your cardiac arrest? And he just sits there in silence for a minute going, and then finally says, I don't want to get into that. And then the next question was immediately, well, like the NFL has you guys constantly going through physicals, like you're really looked at, from a health perspective. Have you ever been told that you have any kind of issue, heart issue? No, I haven't. And it was just so odd that he either has been told not to answer the question or doesn't want to answer the question, but it kind of seemed like he answered the question without answering the question.
Well, I think the reality is his cardiologist has already said he's going to play again. And I think his thing was trying to figure out how do you not say something that may get the NFL to come in and say you can't play anymore, which is a big deal. Last year, the year before last, there was a guy named Christian Eriksen who plays soccer for Manchester United now, but he was playing for the Danish national team, and he had a cardiac arrest on the field in front of an audience bigger than the Super Bowl. And they brought him back, and he's now playing again. They had to put a defibrillator. He had a genetic problem. This was, pre the he died because of the vaccine. It was pre the vaccine or anything else like that. But it was, I think it was a one-off. I think it was. I've been in a game where a guy got hit in the chest and he went into cardiac arrest, and this was 25 years ago. So it is possible it's happened, but I think he wants to play again, and he's trying to figure out how does he dodge the questions, and probably is there liability, because the NFL might have to pay him out, as well, going, hey, we're going to have to give you $25 million. But we're not going to let you play because we don't want you to die on the field.
Gosh. Well, it just has caused more speculation, as you might imagine.
Yeah, well, that doesn't help, and everybody's like, well, could these things cause, heart issues? It's possible. If we give 150 million people aspirin today, some people are going to get sick because some people are allergic to aspirin, right? I mean, there is that, it's like, so is it a possibility? Yeah. I mean, of course it's absolutely a possibility. The problem I always had with the whole thing with the vaccines is, man, we rushed through it really fast, and making it mandatory and not giving people the opportunity to say, you know what, I want to give. And for me, it's like, I'll take it, right? But I'm not going to give it to my kids.
Right.
Like, I'm fine being a test dummy. They don't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when they're such a low risk.
Right. And people should have the choice to be able to do that. I mean, I think that's where people are at. And I used to work in pharma for a really long time. That's what I did before I became.
Well, of course you did, because you were part of corporate America, and they always hire hot chicks who are going to go and schmooze the doctors. I saw that movie with Michael Keaton. That's what you guys do. You get him to talk about anything. And then you're like, here, give everybody in West Virginia oxycodone. It's good for them.
It's exactly what I did. It's precisely what I did. And so, but I know how long it takes to get these drugs tested and gone. I mean, this is why honestly, we could get into a whole conversation about that. We won't. But I mean, that's why they cost a lot of money. That's why there's a lot of R&D. There's a lot of stuff on the back end that people just don't know. But the bottom line is they take a lot of freaking years to get tested and approved, and that's why there's all these hoops and the FDA and blah blah blah. And this one didn't do that. It just didn't go through all the hoops. And so, like, when it comes to me, as somebody who worked in that field, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give that to I'm not giving that to my kid. There's no way I'm doing that. He didn't go through all the hoops.
I mean, everybody I know around here, because my on-air partner for my local show is a hypochondriac of epic proportions.
Yeah.
Like, even now, like, and it's like, if he twists his knees, like, I'm pretty sure I'm dying. I'm like, oh God. I mean, that's the kind of, like, he's.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it.
Oh, yeah. God, it's awful. So I myself went and got, I got it first because I could, just to make fun of him that I did. And it was fine. But man, some of them, it's like, oh my God, it's the worst thing. And everything. I think I caught it early on, like early.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I went to, this is crazy. So my son lives in San Diego. We went to, and I've been talking about it for a month. I had a friend that was in Wuhan who was locked down. He has a company over there. He was locked down, and he was telling me, dude, something weird's happening. They've locked us down. This place is bigger than Chicago. We can't go outdoors. We can't do anything. And I kept saying, guys, something's coming here, and it's crazy because they're only letting people get on trains to go to the airport and leave. So that was also another right there to America from China. So I kept telling everybody that was in like late November, early December, prior to when it exploded. My son and I went to a Chinese New Year party in at a place where he was playing basketball in his youth basketball team. There was probably 10,000 people there. A lot of them were from China. A couple of them we were talking to, they were from Wuhan.
Oh my gosh.
And the next Friday, both my son and I went into the bedroom. I started feeling bad on Wednesday or Thursday. I went in and I went into the bedroom. I told my wife, I said, I just leave me alone. And because the kids had a party and stuff, I slept in there until Sunday. I was out like a light.
Wow.
My son was sick for like 8 minutes because that's what kids were sick. They were sick for 8 minutes.
Because it's different for kids. This is the thing.
Yeah, they're like, Dad, I don't feel good. No, I feel fine.
Right. I'm okay. I'm good. Right.
Can I take a quick moment of personal privilege because I need to ask you a question that I just connected some dots. You're going to think this is crazy.
White person.
She is very white. She's very white.
Okay, because you mentioned you were in the UK. You mentioned you were playing soccer. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Robbie Williams is?
Yeah, of course I do.
Oh my God. Why'd you have to
my
say that,
favorite.
Yeah. He was
Have
in
you ever
Take
met him?
That.
Did you meet?
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
I met
You
Robbie.
did?
Yeah.
Tell me every last detail.
Oh,
Oh, he
God.
was
I'm going to
super
go ahead and
hot.
check out now. I'm just going to go
So-
ahead and I'm going to check out.
Now, are you going to do something? This is what OnlyFans is about. Daisy, you're going to want to watch this.
Oh,
So,
my
so
God.
what you do. And then, so he was a nice guy. He was in Take That. That's how I
Really?
knew
Right.
him originally. Before
When he's not shagging everybody, he's got to shag everybody.
Like,
Or
of course, I'm
snogging
Robbie
them.
Williams. Like, I'm all Robbie Williams and all. Like, I'm in the band Take That, you know. Never forget where you're coming from. Never forget where you're coming from. Yeah.
So you met him. Okay, so I was
Oh
just
my
thinking
God.
it would be awesome if you'd heard of him. But like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because he's
Yeah.
huge into soccer, obviously, and then obviously
Yes, he is.
he's from the UK.
Yes.
Is
so-
it like a
Yes.
thing you have to know about that in the UK? Because here in the United States, they take your man card away if you know who Robbie Williams is. And it's
fake
not
news.
like Robin Williams. You know what I mean?
No. Robbie is Robbie got more chicks than Robin.
I know he did.
Yes.
He's
He's
like
had
had
more
sex
big
with
hits
every
than-
woman in the UK, hasn't he?
And some
and
men.
a few in America.
Right. Exactly.
And a few in America. Do you like Robbie Williams? Is this what you're telling me?
Oh my God, she's
I
in
am
love with.
Obsessed.
She gave him a
with
lap dance for her 50th
He gave
birthday.
me a lap dance
Okay, I'm
because I went to the Vegas show and I got pulled up on stage, and so he gave me a lap dance. It was like a dream come true. It was a,
Yeah.
Did they need to throw a towel
Unforgettable.
up there for you?
what's
Pretty
that?
much.
Pretty much a towel so you could douse yourself. It's just, I'm so
Right.
moist.
She was. I mean, it was ridiculous. Like,
Oh my
she-
God, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Best time of my life. Best night ever.
she's that person.
Anyway, I didn't mean to
I'm
derail
sure your husband's
the
stoked
political-
about that. I'm
Her
sure your
husband
husband's
fully
stoked.
supports this. I think that's her. What do they call it?
Well,
What do
that's
they
part
call-
of the swinger lifestyle.
what it is, Chad. What do they call it? The ticket. What do you call it when you have a person that you can like be with other than your husband? What do they call that?
the hall pass.
The hall pass. Yeah, I think that Robbie
Yeah,
Williams is her hall pass. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
I feel like I've fulfilled as much Robbie as I'm gonna have in my lifetime.
Is the lap
so
dance?
I had the lap dance, and that was good enough for me. But I'm just, I didn't mean to derail politics. I just
No,
thought
it's
I had to
politics,
ask.
schmolitics. I'm more interested in Robbie Williams because everybody laughs at me because I know all the Take That songs. And, Take That was the original thing before he went off and did Angel Eyes and all that kind of, all that
Was
stuff.
Take That kind of like the band that Zelensky was in? Remember? Was
No,
it
that was
Zelensky was in a
Menudo.
band?
That was
Wasn't he-
Menudo.
Wasn't Zelensky in some sort of a boy band? Wasn't he in a boy band?
He was a comedian.
I
Oh,
thought
I
it was
thought he was in a-
Menudo. It's not Menudo? Oh, wait, that's
Wasn't
that's
Zelensky-
Brazil or Argentina.
Wasn't Zelensky in some sort of a boy band? I mean, I've seen like
No.
videos of dancing
I'm
around.
unaware of this.
He's
I
a
thought he was.
YouTube comedian.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe he was in like a skit that was a boy band. Like a skit
Okay.
is part of his comedy.
Okay, I've
maybe?
seen him
I don't know.
singing and dancing and looking like he was in some sort of a boy band. Maybe I just like, okay. He just looks like he could be in a boy band.
So
Okay.
Okay,
no,
we've gone
Take
off the
That
rails.
was a band that there were 5 kids from, England who kind of came after before the Backstreet Boys, but after what was the first one?
Menudo.
Not Menudo. The
NSYNC?
first one here. Was it
Oh,
it
you're
Backstreet
thinking of
Boys?
New Kids
Nine-
on the Block?
New Kids on the Block. So it was
New
in
Kids
between
on
there.
the Block, right?
So
Yeah.
they were early 90s through mid 90s, and then Robbie left the band, and that crushed. All these girls were crying over there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
but
was
then he became a
hilarious.
megastar.
Mhm.
And then they got back together because they realized
Right.
they were better as 5 than 1.
No, that is fake news. He has been on his own ever since, and he's been
No,
like
I've
complete
seen him do all kinds of
megastar.
stuff with Take That.
Recently?
Yeah, they just did something for like the Princess Trust. He goes back over there and performs with the boys.
I
They
think
didn't have
all
a
those-
bad falling out.
I think all those guys do the reunion tours. It's kind of like New Kids on the Block is now, you can't call them that. It's now NKOTB, Chad.
Yeah,
Because they're no
they're
longer
trying
new.
to be cool.
And they're no longer
Right.
kids.
Right. No longer.
Older adults on the block.
Right.
Right.
And all they do is scream, "Get off my lawn."
Shake rakes. Shake rakes at people.
So, Chad,
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Haley recently announced that she is officially in the mix for 2024. We're hearing rumors that Vivek Ramaswamy could be entering the race. Do you
Well
have-
said.
Thank you very much.
she practiced.
I
a
did
lot.
practice. What do you make of the field so far?
Okay, so here's the big issue. And I just talked to Jim Garrity, Jim Garrity from the old National Review. We were chatting today, and I said, here's my issue, Jim. Are we going to have a plurality? Is Trump going to get 29% because he has that cult-like atmosphere around him that's always there, and he's going to get that 29% of people, but everybody else is going to break it down? Is there going to be enough? Because Tim Scott's going to jump in sooner rather than later. I'm sure a Huckabee of some sort is going to jump in somewhere in there. But now you've got Nikki Haley. I like Nikki Haley. She's got a great story. I love 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and you guys don't piss her off because she will kick you, and she's wearing high heels is what she said. That's why she's running for president. But it's an interesting thing when it comes to, are we going to have 40 people up there again? Are we going to have a kids table before you get to the big table? What does that look like? And who's going to be able to, what's Trump going to do? I mean, that's the big thing. Is Trump going to go, you know what, screw the party, I'm going to destroy everybody?
Yeah. And I think he loves it.
I think is going to happen.
You do? You think he's going to run as an independent?
No, I just think he's going to destroy everybody. And even if he doesn't win, he's going to wound them so much that they're going to be useless in a general.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And I think he loves the fact that so many people are running because it just fractures how I think instead of having just like a DeSantis run against him, it's going to be everybody, like 40 people again running against him. And then it's just going to make his odds even better to be there.
And how many of these people are running because they believe in their heart they have a chance?
Well, don't they have to? Like, what? How do you even make that move?
Because you're adding to, first of all, some of them are running, for a potential cabinet spot, vice president.
Book deals.
They're running to book deals, or you got a book, right? They're like hold their book up in the middle of the thing going, I don't know what, if you really want to know what I think, 1995, like one of those things. Or how many of them are also running because, you know what, I might run realistically in 4 years or 8 years. I just want to get my feet wet and see what this thing's really like. But when you have such a fractured thing, you're going to have that plurality, and Trump's going to get that 28 to 33%, depending on, how the cult's feeling that day.
Right.
Yeah. God. And I hate
Do you think DeSantis will run? Like, is he going to get in?
I think so.
I hope so.
I think the more that Trump pushes him too and pisses him off, I think the more he's going to want to get in. And,
He's been so good at ignoring and staying above the fray.
He's calling him Meatball.
Meatball run?
Yeah, I know.
What the hell is that about?
Like a groomer the other day when he posted that picture, where he's at a party. I'm like, first of all, he's like 22 and they're 19 or 18. So let's get over it. But that's what I mean about he'd rather destroy everybody than allow anybody else to win.
Yeah.
That's my fear. Because I liked so much of what he did, but then after a while, it just became to me much more about him and less about anything other than that. And if the thought was, I can be the kingmaker or I can do whatever, is that what you're going to do now? Instead of being the kingmaker, you're going to decide to throw, how much of this are you doing to protect yourself potentially from who knows what? Because, most of it's ridiculous, but you were a real estate mogul in New York. I'm sure there are some things that have happened in your past that are against the law because everybody in New York who's a real estate person has done something. They'll find some if they want to. And I think that's ridiculous as well.
Yeah. When you say that out loud, when you dare to say that kind of stuff out loud on your show, do people come at you and like freak out and say, "Oh my God, how do you?" Because we get if we dare to say that, because we say that and people like lose their minds.
They used to. Look, I could say I like a lot of what he did. I didn't like who he became, and I didn't like what it was about. And whether you think it was stolen or it wasn't stolen, let me tell you what can happen today. Nothing. You can't fix it. There's no mechanism in our Constitution to fix whatever happened. So you can either push forward and try to do better for tomorrow, or you can live in the past. And that's also something a lot of people don't want to hear.
Yeah. Amen to that.
No, I think you're
Do you guys get yelled at?
Oh my God.
Do they go off on you? Isn't it
all
funny?
The time? But you're absolutely right.
There are definitely people in the only Trump category who you cannot say anything remotely critical of him without them just absolutely losing their minds.
Right.
He's their Yahweh.
Yeah. It's weird.
It is kind of weird.
He's Trump Jesus.
Yeah, he's treasus.
He's treason. Oh, Jesus Christ.
He is.
Well, Chad, when are we coming back on your show? Because we always have such a good time.
I think you're going to come back next week.
Yeah. Is that
I
right?
love it.
I think so.
I was going to bring you back next week, so we're going to hook that up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's do that next week. I know you guys
Yay.
are so busy doing whatever it is that you guys do during the day.
And how do people, what's the best place for people to find you and connect with you?
At Chad Benson Show on Twitter and Instagram, and Chad Benson Show on Facebook. And I need to do more. Here's the problem why I don't do more. Because I have 12 jobs, ladies. All right?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
All right, I do. So for these you guys, I'll give you guys a snapshot of my day. I get up at 2:30. I got my morning show that starts at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And I have an hour drive in. So, and then I work out a little bit. I do some stuff around here. And at 2 o'clock, I've got my local show here in Phoenix. So I don't get home till 7 o'clock at night.
Oh my!
Yeah.
And do you just go straight to bed?
Right. Or
No,
when do you have?
because I like to hang out with my kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when do you have time for your OnlyFans?
Yeah.
So I don't anymore. It's really tough.
Yeah.
That's why
That is.
I had
It's
to turn
tough
to
for
you
all
guys.
of us. It's tough for all of us, Chad.
It is. We're
Now,
all
why did
hurting
you
out
guys
here.
leave radio?
Why?
When or why?
Why?
I
different
left
reasons.
first. I left first because I moved. I wanted to go. I wanted to get out of it, and then I wanted to come here to Texas, which is where I live. And then eventually, I dragged her out of it, kicking and screaming. And then we went fully on our podcast, which has been delightful ever since.
Now, how long have you guys been doing the podcast only?
A year.
2 years. Is
2
it
years?
just one? It's two.
No,
Jesus.
full time in the podcast, just a year. It's just been a year full time in the
Really?
podcast since January. It was
Yeah,
January.
you're right. You're right.
Mhm.
That's totally right. It's
Full
1
time.
year. That's right.
But we've been doing the podcast for about 3 years. It's just that we've been doing it full time for a year. Chad.
yeah.
I'm
that's
going
right.
to talk to Daisy here, Mock. You have no idea what's going on.
I know.
She's
I'm not
still
kidding.
thinking about Robbie Williams.
Right. She's like, oh my God, he met him. Oh my God, he touched him. Oh God.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Right.
Oh, my God.
But it's been, we know what it's like to have many, many jobs.
We
'Cause
do.
We do the website. We've got, writers that are working with
Uh-huh.
us, and we get